Hi everyone, this is Lynn and welcome to Flying Unicorn University, and I will be sharing a project with you tonight, and I'll show you that in just a minute. I just want to remind you that next week, Wednesday at 9 o'clock, Shona will be live, and I know she'll be sharing another gorgeous project as well. And also, any of the products that I'm using tonight that Alda carries in the store are 10% off, but that excludes the dyes. So, and I have used some dyes tonight. I didn't think about it ahead of time. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done that. But yeah, everything else but the dyes are 10% off in the store. Just go to the store and click on the Ustream Specials tab, and everything will be listed there. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all the announcements I have for you. So I'm going to turn the camera down and we'll get started. And just bear with me because I haven't done this in a while. Okay, let's see if we're straight at least. I'm working on white paper, unfortunately, tonight. I'm sorry, guys. It's just... Okay, I guess we're going to have to go that way. Sorry. Sorry about the camera angle. I don't know why I'm having issues. Okay, better. There we go. This is what we're working on tonight. It is a canvas, regular canvas. This is a 12 by 12. Let me see if I can move this up a little bit straighter. There we go. That's better. Okay. And I have started some of the work on it. I wanted the background done on it. But before I get started, I wanted to show you one of the stencils that I actually totally forgot about using. Okay. It's this particular one here. It is an Andy Skinner stencil, and it's called Code Breaker. And it is in my background, although it's hardly noticeable. And I will bring this canvas up, and you'll see a little bit of it right there. The whitish part is so not noticeable that it doesn't matter that I totally forgot about it. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside, and what I've done here is I've actually painted a canvas. And you can see that I was not careful about how I painted it. I didn't bother me at all that there was white streaks in it. I kind of like that look. Okay, and the paints that we're using tonight is the Delusions paint. This one is Fresh Lime. That is what this is here. These are gorgeous paints. They are bold colors. If you like Diane Reevely's style, you'll know that everything she does is pretty bold. But, excuse me, I'm going to show you how to just mix the paint so that you can achieve the look that you want if you're not into the bold colors. So since I've already painted this with the Fresh Lime, we're going to go ahead and get started with the next part, which really is about mixing paint right now. And I'm working on like a paint palette, but it's paper. Bear with me because I got to open the jars. And I'm going to be using the white linen and mixing it with the vibrant turquoise. And I also want a little bit of just the plain turquoise. Let's get another spoon here. I'm using a spoon just because it's easier. And I'm going to put that aside because I will be using that again. And I just want a lighter version of the turquoise. And that might still be a little too dark, but maybe a little bit. But that's okay. I'm going to wipe that off because we're going to use it again. I'm really hoping that I can get this done in the allotted time here, guys. Sorry, had to get my stencil. Alright, I am using a Prima Magnolia stencil. That's what it looks like. I've got glare from the lights, sorry. Okay, and I'm not really looking for the actual flower pattern because I'm just going to keep moving my um, stencil around. And I'm going to put on my paint with just a makeup sponge. Okay, now one thing about painting with a makeup sponge is you don't want too much paint on your sponge because it will just seep through. So I'm just going to go ahead and just start tamping the paint down, just pushing it into the canvas. And like I said, I'm not really going for the floral pattern, even though you can see that. I'm just going to go ahead and keep moving my stencil around. And if it looks like I have flowers, great. If it looks like I don't have flowers, that's great too. It really doesn't matter. It's just about having an extra color in the background. And that's what I really like about it. On the other canvas, you really can't see the flowers as well. On the first one that I did, they don't show up as much. Probably because I moved it around a whole lot more than that. I have to hold it down here. And if you keep moving your stencil so that you're actually putting it down on top of wet paint, you might have to actually wipe off the back, like I will here on the side. I use my towel if I can get it, just because it's going to make globs, and I really not liking the globs. Okay, I don't have to worry too much about the area where I'm going to be putting the face or the body, I guess. But I do want to make sure that I've got everything else covered, at least as much as I can. And how much of this you do, and you can tell I'm really not being careful here, how much of it you put on, how much paint and through the stencil you put on in the different areas is totally up to you. It just depends on how busy a background you want. So like right here, I'm not liking that, so I'm going to go ahead and add some more right there, just so I don't have a lot of open holes. And this takes just a minute. One of the good things about the Delusions paint is that if you don't lay it on too thick, like if you were to spread it with a palette knife, then that would be a little too thick, but putting it on like this, it dries very quickly. So, you know, a little bit of a zap with the heat gun and you're done. And we're just about there. Just need a little bit here and maybe a little bit here just in case. And I think that'll take care of that. So I'm going to put that aside in my water because the paint will dry, and I'm going to hit this with the heat gun. I'm going to have to hold it up so I can see that it's drying. It's dry in most areas already. Although in some it's wet because I have it thicker. You have to excuse me a minute. I need to get a drink of water. I'm trying to keep my heat gun moving because when you heat set paint, it has a tendency to bubble. And while I like the look of that, that's not what we're going for here tonight. So you can tell that already because I didn't use the other stencil. You really can't see it anyways. So I just totally forgot about it until after it was painted and it was too late. Because it was just a removal, just removing a little bit of paint. Okay, I think that'll do for now. The next thing that I want to do is I want to bring out a couple stamps. I'm using the Bow Bunny Stitches stamps from last month's kits. And I also have one of my all-time favorite stamps, which is the Kaiser Craft Script stamp. And I'm going to use the script stamp, with a brown ink. Now you can use StazOn, you can use, I'm trying to think of all the other ones. Ranger Archival, let me see, Memento. I'm trying to think. And I'm just going to randomly stamp. You've seen us do this many times, right? I'm just hitting it here and there, and with really no rhyme or reason to it. I'm not worried about this area here because that's where my girl's face is going to be. But I want to make sure I hit the other areas. Okay, and we're done with that stamp. And now I'm going to go on to the Bow Bunny Stitches stamp, and I'm going to be using this one here. It's really pretty. And it's not going to show very much because I'm actually, let me move my canvas up, actually stamping with a green ink, and I forgot to get out a block to make my life a little bit easier. My dirty old block. And I am using Ranger Archival in leaf green. Basically, I'm just using whatever ink I have on hand. But it does need to be a permanent ink, okay? And I'm just going to stamp it 3 times in a corner, and that's not working out very well because I can't push it. So let's just use my fingers. And if you find it's difficult, you can always put your hand underneath and push from behind. And I just want a little bit of green somewhere else. Okay. As much or as little as you want. I'm adding a little bit more on this one. I should probably point out, and I totally forgot to let Alda know this, and I'm sorry, Alda, that I'm doing this to you. I will give one of the canvases away, and it will be the winner's choice. So, because they will be a little bit different, just because of what I'm using. Okay? So now the next thing I want to do is I want to go back to my vibrant turquoise, and I just need a little bit of it. And actually, if I was smart, I would close that up. Okay, and you can see my spot of that right there. And I'm using an old Starbucks gift card, and I'm just going to run some paint on the edge. I'm just dunking it right into the paint, and I'm going to make myself some lines. And if it's not thick enough or not as wide as I want it, then I'm just going to run it through it again. And I'm just making sort of like a cross type thing, and I'm doing that in the opposite corners. And that's a little bit darker, so that's going to give movement on your canvas. Okay, so I'm going to dry that because now I need to do the same thing with the white again. Now, one of the things that you can do with the Delusions paints is because they are in a wide mouth jar, you do get paint in the lid if you just shake it up a little bit. So I'll just use the other edge of the card like this, and I'll show you in just a second. So let me dry this a little bit. I just don't want to be mixing my paints and have the same color. I do have it on a little thicker, so it's going to take a little bit longer to dry. And you can see, and I'll show you from the other canvas, that my color my blue, or the turquoise, is much darker on the one I'm working on right now than it is on the other one, and that's only because I mixed it with more white. This really does need to be dry. Okay, we'll call that done. All right, so I'm going to take my white paint and I'm just going to dip the other edge in, and then I'm going to go ahead and just, instead of sliding it back and forth, just because I don't want it to mix with the turquoise, then I'm just going to go ahead and like pounce it. And turn it around and do the other one. Whoops. A little crooked, but that's okay. And you can tell it doesn't really matter how you do it, whether it's straight or not. That's not important. It's all background. Okay, and I just got blue paint all over my hand. Let's get a baby wipe because it's going to be all over the canvas. And let's put the white paint away again because I will wind up wearing it. So let's try that. How is the weather in everyone's parts of the country? I know I'm asking and I can't see what your answers are, but I'm going to ask anyways. It's been extremely hot here. And yes, I'm complaining about the heat already. It's been in the 90s, which is very hot for this time of year. And because my paint is thick and I need for this paint to be dry to move on to stenciling, I am going to have bubbles. And I'm okay with that. Okay, I think we're going to call that done, or as done as possible. Let me get my other stencil. This is the Prima Finibert. It is called Flourish. Let me see if you can see that better. Not really, because it's on white. You can tell I didn't clean this one with white paint. I think I was busy and I totally forgot about it. So I am going to use Golden Light Molding Paste. And the reason that I'm using this one here is because it's opaque. It depends on the product that you're using it on, but for the most part, especially on lighter colors, it will dry white, not clear. And that's the reason why I like this product. It makes it easier than having to mix white paint with your molding paste, which you can do that as well. Okay, so I'm just going to go into the corner and I'm going to pick whichever pattern I think I want to see. And I think I like that right there. So I'm going to do the top corner and then a little bit down here, but I'm not going all the way down to the bottom. So let's just start right there. And hopefully the paint underneath this is dry enough. And I won't wind up with streaky molding paste. Okay, need it a little bit thicker right here. And I think that's good for that side. Yep. And this happens. So I'm just going to remove that excess along the edge. And if you don't like it, you know, how much you have in one spot, just take it off. It really won't show that much. And now I'm just going to flip it over to the other side and make sure I've got my stencil going the right way. And I'm going to, I think I'm going to flip it around. And yeah. Okay, I think we might have just enough. I'm trying to be mindful that my girl is going to be there, but I think I've already got it in the spots that I shouldn't have it. And a little bit more right there, and I think that will do it. And I will put this stencil in the water as well. So I'm just scraping off the edge. Should be a little bit more careful about it. I am going to take some of this off here because I think that's going to interfere with the girl. Okay, I think that's good. So I'm going to actually set this aside because the next part is actually working on the girl herself. And I am going to wipe my hands with more baby wipe. I do have a lot of paint on me because I grabbed the towel right where I'd wiped off the blue. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. And I'm going, like I said, I'm going to put this aside so it can dry while we're working on the next part. So here's what I've done. I'm actually using leftover bits and pieces from the June kits, which is the 13 Arts Starlight papers. And I had just enough to do 2 bodies, and I have a little bit of extra to do the dress. Okay, and excuse me, I'm hoping you can see this. This is a very simple shape. I just drew it on a piece of copy paper and then cut it out and then traced it onto my scrapbook paper. And I like this because you do see some of the hearts in the background. You won't see very much of it, but you do see it. And the color is already there, so we're just going to be building on the actual color. Okay, so we'll start with that. And what I need to do is to very carefully move this paper out of there because I will need it again, I believe. And now we're going to move on to doing the body and the face. And now I'm going to be mixing the squeezed orange Delusions paint. And I'm actually going to be painting with my fingers because I found this actually worked better. Than using a paintbrush for whatever reason. And I want, my other spoon is over there. Let me just get the blue off of that as much as I can. Now I just want a little bit of the pink, which is bubblegum pink, and that is like a really bright pink. I just want a little bit of it just to tone down the orange. That might do it. That might even be too much. You want sort of a coral type color. Oh, maybe it's not enough. Oh, there we go. You can see, here, let me bring that into the light so you can see it better. You can see I used just a tiny little bit of that pink, and already you can see that this is more of a very dark coral. So now we're going to go and use some white. I do want to tone that down. I am going to use another spatula. This is too orangey for the flesh. And of course you could use whatever colors you like, and still too orangey. Too dark, I guess, is the color, is what I'm trying to say. I still want it somewhat orange, but not quite that dark. And this is better. Okay, so I'm going to move that aside. And like I said, I am going to paint with my fingers, so I'm going to be making a mess. So basically, oops, here. All I'm doing is I'm just going to rub the paint in. That's it. I mean, that's not really that hard, right? Let me tell you, if I can draw this girl and I can paint this face, anybody can do this. This is not drawing faces, drawing bodies, drawing, period, is not one of the things that I do normally. I just don't feel that I draw that well. I suppose if I practiced, I probably could get better at it. Okay. But I don't. So most of the time I usually use templates, and I was having a hard time finding something online that I liked, and so I decided to just try it out. And one of the things that I did on the other one is I made a mistake and I forgot to leave her arms. So I didn't do that this time around. I actually planned ahead of time. Okay, so again, I'm going to wipe my fingers off. And I'm going to move the pink out of the way. And I'm going to add a little bit more white, but this time only to some of the orange, because I want a little bit lighter. I need to go much lighter than that. And we're going to start doing some of the shading. And I'm not even going to pretend to tell you that I know what I'm doing here, because I don't. This is really the first time I've ever done anything like this, and I thought it turned out pretty cool for somebody doing it for the first time, so that's why I'm sharing it with you. So I'm going to go ahead and heat set what I have, because I used my fingers. The paint is on a little bit thicker. And it really doesn't matter that you can see the streaks from my fingers moving through the paper. You're not going to see that in the end. I just saw your comment, Mary, about the sunless tanner. Yes. Oh my God, have you ever tried that stuff? Oh, it really is orange. Okay. So I guess I'm kind of doing like a reverse shading, because I'm going to leave the outside darker and the inside's going to go lighter. So the first place, and I know you're wondering, where's the face? Well, it doesn't matter because it's going to work anyways. I'm just going to go ahead and just start putting in the lighter shade. And I'm just going to, with my finger, and I know I'm kind of going outside my edges here. That's okay. And then I'm going to do some down here. And I know it looks like a hot mess right now, but that's okay. We'll fix it in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to heat set that one more time. And then we're going to move on to the stencil. Once we've got the stenciling done for the face, it'll be easier to tell where I need to add more dark or more light. But this just gives us a base. You'll have to excuse me. I keep having to drink water. I don't know why. I feel like it's really dry in this room tonight. Okay, let me get that stencil. This is another Andy Skinner stencil, and it is called Baroque. It's got some beautiful flourishes here, and then two faces. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and figure out which one I want, and I'm pretty sure I want the bigger one. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball about the middle. And that looks about right. And I'm going to go ahead and take some, again, Delusions paint in black marble. Now, the wonderful thing about this stencil is that I messed up a couple times when I did the other one. And all I had to do was lay it back down on top and add more paint. So I'm just tamping it, and then I'm going to go ahead and kind of tamp it off. I don't want too much paint on there. It's going to do globbies. And going crooked. And then go ahead and just go through just the face. I love this stencil. This actually, there's been a few other face stencils that I looked at and wanted to buy and never did. I missed out on them all the time. But this is definitely a nice one. I really like it. And there's my face. Okay, now I do have some globbies, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. It's not going to show. All right, once again, we're going to heat set that. Okay. Okay, so now what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and close the black, move that out of the way. Okay, I'm going to just take a little bit of the light orange and mix in a little bit more pink with it, because that's going to be her cheeks. Like, how easy is this, right, to paint like this? And I know you're going, oh my God, are you kidding me? Nope. Go back into the orange if it's too dark and you don't like it. That's it. And you can see it's a little bit rosier. Just a tiny bit more pink. There we go. Just a bit. Okay. And I'm going to go back into the darker orange, the first one that we mixed, and I'm going to fix the side here, because I do want the sides of her face a little bit darker. It's the shading. And you can see I just went over the black paint. I don't know if you saw that or not, but I did. And again, right here. And I need a little tiny bit right there and right there. And I'm going over the black paint, and I'm okay with that. Okay. Okay, we're going to try that one more time. Yes, Claudia, the Delusion spray paints are vibrant too. It's actually the same colors. Very vibrant. Okay, so I set aside my stencil. Let me bring this up so you can see what I've done here. I'm hoping you can see that I actually went over the black. I want the black to be black. Okay, so I'm just going to put my stencil back over top of it. And guess what? Just stencil over where I got some of the paints. How easy is that to fix? Look at that, done. That's it. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into the green paint, and actually let's dry that first before we make a mess. Put my stencil in the water because we're done with that. Okay, and I'm going to use a pencil eraser. Actually, that's it, just an eraser, and I'm just going to go in. Oops, no paint there. Guess it's dry. I'm just going to make a circle for her eyes. That's it. And that's not a very good circle, but that's okay. Pretty bright, but we're going to fix it. Okay. And then the other thing that I want to do is I have a Faber-Castell Pit Artist pen. This is the white. Okay. I'm not going to do the final white yet, but I do want to add just a little bit right there because I'm going to be painting in her lip in pink. So let's dry the green and let's dry the white. I mean, you can see I haven't even really started or have done much shading. This is like really simple stuff because that's the kind of stuff I like doing. And I'm looking for my small paintbrush here. And I'm just going to add just a little tiny bit of pink right over top of the white just to make her lips so that she's got color on both the top and the bottom lip. And this one is a little bit different than the other one. And again, that's okay. Let's try that again. I want this dry because now we need to glue this down. This is the only way for me to know. Oh, here I am. I'm heat setting on my mat and it's just bubbled up. Okay, let's move the face out of the way and let's see how we're doing here with, okay, our molding paste is actually pretty dry. And this is pretty much where I want to put her now. Her body is actually shorter than the last one. So I probably, yeah, that's good right there. So I'm going to use Golden Soft Gel Matte to glue this down. And what I am going to do is, first of all, do the back side. And I'm using an old yucky brush to do that. That way I don't have to worry about the brush itself. And I'm just going to put it on thick. One of the things that I didn't do on the first one is I didn't put the gel medium on the front, and then when I went to do my shading, I found it more difficult. So we are going to put it on the front as well. It just makes your life easier because it allows your ink to move around. Okay, so I'm going to put her slightly off center, just ever so slightly. And I'm going to push her down. It would be easier if I had something underneath it. Might need a little bit more because I am working with a bigger piece here. And you can see it's paint, so it's not moving. Unlike like the Tim Holtz Distress paints, which I do like as well. But I was so excited when I saw that Alda got these in the store. It's like, oh my gosh, want them all. Okay, that's about it. I might have to push it down along my edges. Okay, that's done for that. And I keep putting my hand in the wet paint on my towel. So let me wipe off my hands. And a little bit of globbies here. Okay. Okay, I'm going to heat set that. Okay, that's pretty good. We're not actually done gluing. So the next thing that I did, and I got some orange paint on here, is I took the star paper. Orion is what it's called. And I cut myself a piece. And just make sure when you're making her dress that you don't cover her arms. So make sure you leave yourself a little bit. So I did that, okay? And then, and I'll show you from the back side, okay? I folded my paper in half and just cut in the round. I hope you get that, okay? And then I turned it over and using the vibrant turquoise paint, and I forgot to show you how to do that. The first stencil that we used here, I just did one flower on one side. That's it. Easy peasy, okay? So let's go ahead and get some gel medium on that. Or, yeah, gel medium. That's what it's called. And then we'll move on to shading. And I'm just going to glue it, trying to make her arms even on both sides. Too much lobbies. Okay, done with that. We're going to heat set that one more time. And then we're going to play with the more of the Faber-Castell pens. And really honestly, the reason that I'm using the Faber-Castell pens is because I am not that good at shading with a brush. If you love doing that kind of stuff, go ahead, go for it. Use the paints. Don't bother with with the markers or the inks. Whatever you feel comfortable doing is what you need to do, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to recolor the eyes. I painted them green, but I really don't want them green, or at least not this shade of green, and I didn't really want them turquoise. So I'm using the light cobalt turquoise in the big brush pen, and I'm just going to go right over top. And that's going to make it sort of like a jade type green. Okay. And that's about it for that one, actually. All right. And now I do want to do some highlighting. So I'm going to run my white just down her nose. That's it. I'm going to put a little bit up here. Oops, and I went over the black paint. I'm not going to worry about it. I can fix it in a minute because I will need to bring out the black paint again. Okay. I am going to put a little bit on her cheeks. And again, you can see I'm not even really trying hard. I mean, this is not what a fine artist would be doing. Trust me on that. And if you think you have a little too much, go dip back into your paint and just go right over top of it. It's actually that simple. Okay. I need to make sure the eyes are dry. They're not quite dry yet. My monitor keeps going into sleep mode. Thought we had that fixed, but we didn't. Okay. I need more black paint. And I'm going to go back to my very fine brush, which is right there. Dry that off. And I want like just the least little bit of paint on my brush because I know how I am with paint. I'm just going to paint this part. And you can see I'm not even painting straight. And I'm going to go back over where I got some of the white. Now you know why I'm using markers. Okay, that's done. So we can put that paint away. I think I closed it. No, make sure when if you purchase these paints, make sure they are closed properly or you will have a mess on your hands. I promise you that. Okay. One last air drying or heat setting, I should say. Not take a sip of my water while I'm drying. Okay, I think that's good. We're going to move my paint things out of the way because I'm pretty sure I'm done with this. Okay, and now I'm going to take out the pin artist pens, the big brushes, and I'm using Cold Gray 3 and Cold Gray 1. And all I'm going to do, I kid you not, is just go around. That's it. I am kind of touching the face, okay? This is the darker of the two colors. And I'm just going to run my finger along the edge, and I'm okay with it going on the skin. And straight or not, really doesn't matter. You just got to play. If you don't play, guess what? You'll never be good at it. And it's not about whether it's fine art or not. It's all about enjoying the time that you spend playing with your scrappy supplies and your mixed media supplies. And I know that for myself, I don't do that enough. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of eyeball right about where I want her neck to be. Okay, again, I'm going to go along the edge, back along the edge, just wipe it through. And because you used the gel medium, I could actually take out a baby wipe and wipe off whatever of this ink that I don't like that's on the gel medium. Okay, but I'm not going to. Not going to worry about it. But you can see that you can move it around. And I do want to move it around down here because this is underneath. I do need to fix that part. There we go. This is underneath her neck. So that's going to be darker, of course. Okay. And I am going to do just a little bit over her shoulders and down her arms. and then along this side. I mean, this is really simple shading, guys. Really simple shading. Okay, and then I am going to add a little bit more, just so it kind of has movement in her arms, even though her arms look like they're tied in place. A little bit more here. A little bit more here. And just like that. That's it. I actually didn't use this one yet. This is the number 1, the cold gray one. And I'm going to go just over the top of her bodice with that one. Just to give it just tiniest little bit of shadow. I'm going on the paper, the body and the dress. Okay. All right, heat set that one more time. Oh, it's going to be close on whether I make it in an hour, guys, or not. Okay. Pilot Permaball pen. I looked for these forever and a day, and I finally found one. I love this pen. It writes on just about everything. I'm not sure if Alda has them in the store, and I don't even know if they're making them anymore. I heard that Pilot had discontinued them, but I have one, so I'm using it. And all I'm going to do is just draw along the edge of the top of her dress, and my glue is still a little bit damp, so it's kind of difficult. So here we go. It's not going to be perfect just because of the gel medium being still wet. Okay, and I'm just going to go eyeball where about the straps for the dresses, roughly. And then I'm just going to just do little half circles to make it look like it's lace. And one of the things that I did, if you actually saw on the blog and on the forum, all the supplies, I did say that you needed distress ink pad, and I changed my mind on that. Reason being is that, and I'll show you why, I had started to stamp in behind, and it really doesn't show enough to make worthwhile doing. So we're actually not going to do that tonight. Okay. If you want to, you can. You actually have to place your flowers first. Let me heat set that. And let's get this out of the way. I have, this is just an odd piece of lace that I had in my stash that I actually colored at some point in time with Distress reinkers, I guess it was. And I'm just going to glue it right about there on her dress. So let me get out my glue. Just going to put it in the center of the flower. I'm loving having this paper on here. I can just wipe my fingers off on there. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier. And I do want to use, along the top edge and on top of the flowers, the Viva Decor Pearl Pen. This is gold. I will do that, but I'm going to wait till after we put the flowers on, just because I'm going to make a mess of it. Okay? So, I need my flowers. Now, when I actually thought about doing this, I figured I would mix up the flowers, and I found that I ended up using all the pink flowers that come in the packages, and I'll show you those in a second. I used all those pink flowers on this one. So this one is going to be more of monochromatic, I guess you could say. So the flowers that I'm using tonight are all Prima, and this is the Garden Fable Biennial. Okay, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out this big one here. I don't know if we're going to use that one or not. Haven't decided yet. Possibly the green one. And then this particular package is the Garden Fable Spring. All right, so let me just pull them out of the package. I should have done that before. And this one is also Garden Fable Sprout. I love the colors in here. I just love them. Okay, so we'll have two different similar projects, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I'm going to try and concentrate and keep the blues. Maybe, do I want green? Yes, I want the blue up there, and I think what we'll do is put the green there. I did add some die cuts, and I'll show you one, which is this one here. From this one, this is Prima Flower Cluster die. Okay, and basically I just bent it up and glued it in place. So let's do that. And of course my glue's not going to cooperate just because I'm on camera. And we're just going to put it in the corner like that. Okay, and I am needing to add more flowers, obviously. So it's just a matter of which flowers where. I'm thinking like here, maybe. Like, oh, don't want that one there. That's like too much. And you can see by not even having her head, it really, you know, really doesn't matter that she doesn't have an actual head. I'm going to put this one right about here. And I'm looking sort of for an asymmetrical look, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. I do want it to go that way. But I also need the flowers here. I want to have another of the die cut here. And this here is actually watercolor paper. I'm going to put this one there. I think that's how we're going to do that, like that. Let's see here. That. And we need this one here needs to go on here. Okay. And I do need to move it out of her eye. And we'll go back to blue right there. And then I want to do the green. No. Maybe we'll do this blue as well. No. Let's do this one. No, don't like that. Let's do the white one. Let's go like that. Roughly something like that. I do need another die cut. I did use more die cuts than I thought. I think 4 or 5. Okay, so something like that, but moving more that way. Okay, let's move that out of the way and let's glue those in place. And I'm not going to move them, just going to add glue underneath as much as I can. We're actually almost done, guys. I think I'm going to move that one there. Yes, that's much better. Pretty quick project, actually, for what we did. Yep, I'm over time. I'm sorry. but I'm almost done. Let's do that. Okay, so that's the flowers. Okay, I also used some of the Shabby Chic Treasures leaves. These are Prima as well. I really like these. You can see I've already used some of them. And I am going to, this is like the feather in the cap type thing. Okay. And I'm going to add this one, perhaps. No, do I want to do it here? Yes, right there. And right here. I am literally keeping it all on that side. Move this in. Okay, so I'm going to glue this down. I actually glued before I did anything else. I'm going to use a couple of foam dots just to pull this leaf up. I do want it up off the canvas a little bit. And then I'll add some glue to that. Okay. And I think I did it on this one as well. It looks like it. And even though the leaf is curling, I don't care. That's like a wisp of hair. Okay. All right, we're down to the wire. Viva Inca Gold in Gold. Mine I've had forever and a day, and it's dried out. I just spray it with a little bit of water. And then I just kind of work it around, and it actually does work. Okay, and I'm just going to go over the tops of the leaves just to add a little bit of gold shimmer. Okay, that's it for that. And then, of course, I need to add my little pearls, which if you wanted to do a necklace, you could do that. Oh, and I forgot my other leaves. And then we're done. A little bit in the center of the lace. I mean, this was just a tiny little scrap of lace that I had left. Okay. And then my other leaves, which on this one I used turquoise. On this one here, I'm going to use pinks, if I can try not to rip them. And this is a dye. I think this is like one of the first dyes I've ever bought. It's a Sizzix dye. It's called Branches with Leaves. Okay. And I am just going to actually tear and tuck. Just get bits and pieces here and there. Just to add some of the pink back into it. And I'm just gluing the very bottom of it. I'm going to add it here. I'm going to, there's another one. I want a bigger section here. And then maybe another little piece right underneath the one flower here. Right here. Okay. Very last step. Go back to your brown ink. Go around your edges. And do your sides as well while you're at it. I'm not trying to cover the whole thing, as you can see. And that, guys, is it. That's how simple that was. I hope you like it. I'll show you the two of them side by side, if I can. Move some stuff here out of the way. So you can see that this one is lighter. It's got a lot more pink in it. This one is a little bit darker. It's got a little bit less pink in it. Probably could use another leaf there. But that's it. That's my project for tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming out. Um, Ladies, whoever wins the canvas, whichever canvas you want, just let me know. This one is pink. This one is turquoise. So I'm sure that either Alda or Cindy will let me know that, or someone else. So that's it. If you have any questions, I'm going to hang on for just a minute on social stream. But if not, let me turn the camera back up and let me see if I can do this without making you crazy. Okay, yay, we got through it in just a little over an hour. Thank you so much, guys. I really, really appreciate you coming out and watching the show tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you actually take the time and do your own, ladies. I know you can do this, and you work with these paints. They're so easy to work with. You'll really enjoy it. So, one more time, 10% off on all the supplies that I've used that Alda has in the store, except for the dyes. And next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is Shona will be with us. So that's it, guys. Good night. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. Bye.